Welcome. This video will guide you through the interface of Adobe Illustrator. Note there's a number of videos in this playlist which will focus specifically on different tools that we're going to be using in this course. When we first open Illustrator, we're going to go to Create New File. And we're going to determine if it's predominantly for print or if it's for digital work. So we're going to predominantly be working in print. Now we can see we've got A3 as a selection there. We're going to be usually working in A3 or A4. And also notice it's in millimeters, which is how we want it. So millimeters instead of pixels or points. Also the orientation, be landscape, portrait, and the number of artboards, that's the number of pages. When we're working in print, we're also wanting a color mode of CMYK, which is obviously the colors of the printer. If you're working digital, you're going to want RGB. Then we're going to select Create. And so this is going to be our workspace. What I prefer to go through and use is under Window, the Workspace, Essentials Classic. Often the default will be Essentials, and you can just see you've got a limited number of tools available on display up there at the moment. So under Windows, Workspace, Essentials Classic is a really good workspace to have that learning experience as more tools are visible. The current version I'm using is 29.31, and so that's roughly the start of 2025 as most updated version. So now let's have a look at our document. Anything that is presented on the A3 page, which is obviously displayed here, is exported if it's as a PDF or a JPEG. Anything that's outside of that will definitely be saved when saving as a Illustrator file. And so that will be as an Illustrator file, so anything on the outside in the grey, that will definitely be saved. But if we save it as a PDF, it's going to crop it to that, that document size. The left-hand side is what we have is the Toolbox, and this can be expanded and minimized. And it's generally broken up in terms of selection tools at the top, drawing tools in terms of pens and shapes and text, then some modification tools, so scale and rotate, then some other additional tools in terms of blends and eyedropper, and then navigation tools, so zooming in and panning, and some color pickers as well. You might notice a lot of these tools have a little triangle in the bottom corner. So what we can do is hold the click down, and we'll have other tools that are sort of associated with that. So all the type tools are all presented together. We also have the selection tool. Let's get rid of that text box. And the other great thing is we have a nice little visual and a description. So this black selection tool is for selecting entire objects, whereas the white selection tool is for adjusting segments or anchor points, those anchor points that we can go through and be selecting. So that's the key difference between those two. The top toolbar, it will change according with what tools we're selecting here. So if I select on the type tool, notice that this is slightly changed to character, so we can change the fonts, the font size, paragraphs, the alignment, so on and so forth. So that will change accordingly with what tools you are using. The right-hand side are what we refer to as the palettes. And so these can be expanded once again and minimized and dragged out if need be, so stroke. And so therefore we can change the stroke or the outline of an object, and then also be placing these back within here. The main ones you're going to be using are probably stroke. Probably won't be using layers as much as Photoshop. Artboards, you might be utilizing gradients, transparencies, colors, so on and so forth. Navigating around Illustrator can be done by utilizing these two tools here, but the shortcut is Control plus and minus up near backspace. You can pinch pull as well. And if we zoom right out and we want it to snap to the correct size, Control 0. Another thing to do is, with any tool being selected, if I hold spacebar, I can pan around the document or the middle mouse wheel. Just going to paste in a design here so we can talk about vectors. So Illustrator is a vector-based program. So think of vector graphics like digital art made with math instead of pixels. So what that means is the image, well, most images, what we think of as photos, are made up of pixels. So when we zoom in on them, they get blurry. Whereas a vector-based program, it's made of points, lines, and curves. And so it really becomes a mathematical equation. We don't have any pixelization of it. So it's nice, crisp and clean. It's really editable, and we can tweak colors and sizes of these different shapes that we're going through and creating. Copying and duplicating can be done by clicking and dragging a shape and then going Control C, Control V, but it will always paste sort of within the middle of the artboard. Another really good option is having something selected and then duplicating. So if I hover over and I hold down Alt, notice there's a little icon happening there, and then I can drag it out, and that's a quick duplicate. The next thing we want to look at is guides and rulers. So go into View and zooming down to turning on rulers. And now notice we have a ruler around the outside of the document. And it will start at the origin, which is generally the top left, 0, 0. And at the moment it's in millimeters, so I can right click on that and I can change it accordingly. And if I want to move 0, 0 to another position, I can just click and drag that point to that point. And so we can go through and align things based upon that. Another great feature is dragging in guides. So from the left-hand one, I'm going to be dragging out sort of vertical lines, and these are guides. They don't print. They're just really good to base our drawings upon, so we can align things really neatly. So Illustrator is a great tool to go through and design logos, posters, play around with type. However, it is not very helpful at photo editing, so therefore you're going to be utilizing Photoshop. This is a quick overview. Thanks for watching. Please go through and watch the next video.